I've never voted for a Democrat.
Wow.
And it tells you, I think, the stakes in this election. Donald Trump presents a challenge and a threat fundamentally to the republic.
Former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney warning and urging her fellow conservatives not to support Donald Trump this fall. Cheney taking issue, of course, with one Republican in particular, former presidential candidate Nikki Haley, who endorsed Trump after dropping out of the GOP primary earlier this year.
I can't understand her position on this in any kind of a principled way. I think that, the things that she said, that she made clear when she was running in the primary, those things are true. And again, we're those of us who are conservative, those of us who believe in fidelity to the Constitution, have a responsibility and have a duty to recognize this is not about partisan politics. And the country is going to need to rebuild true conservative movement when we're through this election cycle.
Haley defending her support of the former president this weekend.
I've always said, look, if I thought Biden or Trump were great candidates, I wouldn't have run for president. I ran because I thought I could do a better job.
You don't think he's a good candidate?
I think he is the Republican nominee. The reality is she has a record. Mm-hmm. The administration has a record. Trump has a record. And so neither are perfect. Neither are ideal.
So let's talk about the policies then.
So, Dana, we touched briefly on Dick Cheney, and I want to dig into that as well, because he, in some ways, him saying he's going to vote for Kamala Harris, certainly we knew Liz Cheney was not going to vote for Donald Trump. But this back and forth between Haley and Cheney, I mean, Cheney obviously made a decision to make this something that was so central to her that she couldn't possibly remain part of the party. And she's looking at what Nikki Haley did, and Haley clearly has made a different calculation for her own political future.
Exactly.
How do you see this?
Exactly what you just said. Liz Cheney, you can tell me if I'm wrong, there's no future for Liz Cheney in this Republican Party anymore, which again is just stunning to me that I could say that about a Cheney covering politics in this town for as long as I have. Nikki Haley is a young woman. She is somebody who does hope that there is a future for her. She did better than any other opponent of Donald Trump in the Republican primary this year, and she wants to keep her sort of toe in Trump world to the point that, well, toe in Trump world is probably the wrong way to say it. She wants to keep her options open. And if she doesn't endorse Donald Trump, then the people who are completely blindly loyal to him, when he's gone and he's exited the stage, they might think twice about supporting her if she wants their vote again. That's not where Liz Cheney is right now.
Matt Gorman, how do you look at this?
I mean, a couple things. I kind of separate them. I don't think people are waiting the world over to see what finally Liz Cheney is going to say about this and have their vote kind of correspond to that, number one. I think with Nikki Haley, it's always been a dance with her. It's always been very, she sometimes even played a little bit too cute. And I keep flashing back to this moment during the Republican convention where she said, President Trump asked me to speak tonight, and then he leans over, and who knows what the real truth is, but he's like, she asked to speak. And so there's always been this little weird back and forth where she's tried to have it a little too cute with Trump. And it's almost to the point where if you love Trump, Nikki Haley will never be an option for you. But there might be a small slice that would still vote for her in the presidential primary.
It was interesting. If there could be anyone maybe swayed by Liz Cheney, maybe it would be a few Nikki Haley voters. And the fact is that Nikki Haley has not been on the campaign trail. And she said in that interview, well, he hasn't asked me. And so she's waiting for him to call to ask. And it's like this game of like, well, are you going to call me first? Are you going to call me first? And as a result, she's kept her completely off the trail. She wasn't really in the mix for VP, not because a lot of Republicans didn't see advantage there, but because Trump personally wanted, her to sort of submit and like do with this like loyalty test.
But don't you think that's also saying Donald Trump is saying to her voters, like, you're not that important to me. I don't need to call you. So these independent people that he actually needs to win, he is saying, you're not that important to me. I don't actually need to call you.
There are no Nikki Haley voters. That's the other thing. Like, they're not her voters. Like, she was a vessel through which voters who were unhappy with the time of voting for Trump in a presidential primary. But the idea that they are like Buchanan voters will only come out. No, I'm not. This isn't a critique of you.
No, I know.
I always like kind of laugh at that notion. Like, she was a vessel. She encapsulated them well, but she rented them. She doesn't own them.
But do you think it would be helpful to have her on the trail?
What I want to know is, who are the Nikki Haley voters that could be swayed?
I mean, send her to Chester County, Pennsylvania.
Again, but like, who are the people that will be swayed by Nikki Haley specifically going there, right? Like, I think that is like the thing. She didn't own those voters; she rented them.
But they're the independent women who didn't want to vote for Joe Biden and don't want to vote for Donald Trump, and so Nikki Haley gives them permission to, just like in the way that Cheney's are giving Republicans permission to vote for Kamala Harris, she would give people, be like, okay, we can vote for Donald Trump. Like, this person who we support also supports
I think the
him.
reason that also Nikki Haley isn't itching to go out there is because she knows that those people are now going to they don't want to vote for Trump anyway. And so by her going out there and advocating to vote for Trump, she's hurting her own name for no actual political end.
Well, then she's miscalculating, because he's going to hurt her in the process of not even having her out there. So what was the point of endorsing then?
Well, we can go around it.
It wasn't for him, that was for her.
But like, what, I mean,
Don't you think she would be a better messenger on abortion rights, though? I feel like than Trump and Vance have been so far.
I think, well, I will say this, we go back to the debate. She gave Trump the template for his answer. Go back, and his answer on abortion during the debate you had, I thought was very similar to Nikki Haley in a good way from the presidential primaries.
Yeah, really interesting conversation. Guys, thank you so much for being here.